Hey, this is Double R. And I wanted to tell you that Anchor by Spotify is a great and easy way to make a podcast with everything you need and all in one place. Anchor has the tools to allow you to record, edit your podcast straight from your phone or your computer. When hosting with Anchor, you can distribute your podcast to all listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Best of all, it's totally free. So go down the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. This is the Let's Roll Podcast with your host, Double R. What up, everybody? It's your host, the Rose the Most, Double R, and this is the Let's Roll Podcast. Today's episode, I want to talk about a subject that is, I don't know if it's controversial or anything like that, but people that want to be seen or want to be included. And this could go for all kinds of different groups, and how I look at even my particular group of being disabled and how we want to be seen and included. And we're going to talk about that and much more right after this. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about wanting to be seen and wanting to be included. The biggest group out there right now that I see that is pretty much all in the media is the LGBTQ community, the gay community, and how they want to be included and want to be seen. And I would say this: most people just want to be seen as a person, as a human being. They, we don't want to be discriminated against. Um, we don't want to be, uh, not included because of our race or our beliefs, our, religion, our disabilities. I can relate in some ways to people that feel like, you know, they're not being seen or they're being treated a different way because of their race or their the way they want to live their life. And I'm trying to be very careful about saying certain things without, I don't want to disrespect anybody. Um, there's a lot of things in this world that I don't understand, and a lot of things in this world that doesn't make sense to me. But again, I'm 52 years old. I grew up differently. I was raised differently, and when things don't make sense, it's not that I'm against it. It's not that I don't want to include you. It's that I want to understand. I want to, I still might not agree with it. I still might not agree with the way you want to live your life or what you want to do or, you know, um, but I want to understand it and I want you to educate me. You know, one of the biggest things recently that I've struggled to deal with and struggle to not off- uh, offend anyone is the whole non-binary. I want to go by they them instead of he or she. And that's hard to get my mind wrapped around because what I see and what you want to be identified as is just kind of hard to untrain your mind and and even know when to say it, when not to say it, because there could be two people standing there and one might be okay with me calling them a he or a him or a she or a her, and another person might want to be called them and they and what their pronouns are. So it's hard for me to deal with that, but I also want to understand, why you want to not be so called labeled and why you believe that somebody like me comes from, looking at you and just identify you by what you look like. I have been misidentified even when I was younger as a girl just because I had long hair. And it was way when I was way younger, like a little kid, and I had long hair and my voice wasn't like sounded like a boy's voice necessarily. So I was misidentified as a girl. But I didn't get I mean yeah, I got a little irritated, but I was a kid and I just said, I'm not a girl, I'm a boy. So I kinda get it, like you want people to recognize you or identify you as what you want to be identified. But when society has been groomed and taught and for years, you know, there's two genders and now all of a sudden there's a group out there that want to say no, there's not two genders. It's I just want to be identified as whatever I want to be identified. I just want to understand it. And but I'm not saying I want to, not include you and not see you. I see you and I might misidentify you at first, but to get totally upset and mad at someone for saying the wrong thing, then that doesn't help you. Because if you don't educate people out there in a very calm, cool, not get angry, don't take it personal way, then nothing will change in your view. You will just always get mad and upset every time someone doesn't identify you the way you should want to be identified or treat you the way you want to be treated. Um, so when I say be seen and be included, that goes for not only the gay community or the black community or the Latino community or any race you are. It also goes to those of us that have disabilities. And I want you to see me as the person first before you see the wheelchair. And yes, that's hard for people to see and not see the wheelchair first, and then they just identify you as the person in the wheelchair instead of just the person. It's like the person in the wheelchair is the way they identify you. I want you to identify the wheelchair, the person sit. I don't know. I might have sounded that stupid. But basically, what I'm saying is, don't see the person in the wheelchair. See the person. Don't see the person on crutches. See the person. Don't see the person with one leg. See the person. It's like we don't want to be uh, uh, identified as someone lesser than. Because yes, I have a disability, but I'm not lesser than anybody else. I'm not able to do things that everybody else does, but I still can contribute and do things in this world, even as a person with a disability. So I want to be included. Do I feel like I want the world to totally adapt to me? Some cases I do want the world to adapt to me, or at least be considerate of my shortcomings or my disabilities. But do I expect the whole world just to change overnight and make everything accessible for me and everybody like me? No, I don't. I'm realistic to understand that not everything is going to be where it's accessible to me. Do I get mad that everything is not accessible to me? No, absolutely not. Because I don't expect the world to change because of my disability or people with disabilities. We just want you to know that we want you to keep it in mind that there are people in this world that have disabilities and recognize that they have the disability and treat them with dignity and respect and, make it as accessible as you possibly can. Include us in things. Don't 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 not include us because, well, we can't include Rusty because Rusty's in the wheelchair and he can't do a lot. But there's other ways to include me, and so I'm going to touch on how to include someone that is different from the norm, so to speak, right after this. So I was touching on the fact that people with disabilities want to be included, and they want to be seen, and they want to be heard. And I use an example as someone saying they didn't want to include me because I'm in a wheelchair and I can't do whatever they're doing. And I used to think like that even when I was younger that, I'm not going to be able to do a whole lot of things um, because of my disability. I'm not going to be able to do some of the things that even normal kids do when I was growing up. But I found a way to be included in some of my things that I liked that I never knew that I would. I knew that I would never be able to do it, but I found a way to be involved in it. And one of the biggest things, and we've touched on this in other episodes, um, is me being a coach of basketball. Well, way before I even coached in the men's league and then in the youth league, even in junior high, not high school, but junior high, I applied or asked to be a trainer for the basketball team. In the first year, I was a trainer. And then the second year, I was a manager or equipment manager. And that was my way of being included in basketball because I love basketball. I love playing basketball and video games and watching basketball. I've gotten away from it a little bit now. I don't watch it as much as now. And part of that is probably because we don't have cable and our regular TV antenna kind of sucks. So, and I haven't looked to see if any games are ever streaming online or anything. So I really haven't kept up with basketball, in my adult years, but I loved it. So that was my way of being included in something that I wanted to be involved in, knowing that I wouldn't be able to get out on the court and play. And then years later, I, coached a different a men's team and a youth team. And so there's ways to include people even if they can't do the things that they wanted to be included in, like playing, basketball or football or baseball or I used to think for a long time that I grew up wanting to be a cop. And my dad was a cop, but I knew that I would never be able to be a cop because of my disability and not be able to, pass a physical or anything to become a cop. But if I really wanted to be a part of the police force, there was ways for me to do it. But since I didn't really want to do those other things, I wanted to be a cop on the streets. I wanted to be in the action. I would never be in the action, but I could have been a part of the police department in other ways. So, but I never pursued it. I decided, and then my other dream was to be a DJ, and I could have done that easily, and even tried to get hired by a radio station, uh, even just get in the door so I could maybe see if it's something I wanted to do and I could grow grow into doing it, and but I went out the I went the wedding type DJ or mobile DJ way instead of going to the radio. And then now here I am doing podcasting, which is almost like being a DJ on the radio, but it's just a talk show. If I could play music, I would. I would love to be able to play music. But there's ways to be me included, and there's ways to be seen. And I get that in this world, there's a lot of people that want a voice. They want to be heard. They want to be respected, and I think people sometimes take things the wrong way. And I got into this conversation with my friend the other day, and it was about how some things that are presented in TV shows, in movies, um, don't come off naturally. And my biggest thing was, about having the representation of the gay community and in gay relationships and whatnot. And I think it's come a long way where that community is represented in TVs and movies and stuff, but there is a small, slim, at least in my opinion, that it's not necessarily being forced on me, but it's the way I look at it is like it's not done in a lot of shows a natural way, and it comes across as being like it. It does come across like it's being shoved down my throat. Not, but I don't necessarily totally feel that way because I have to understand in the world there's all kinds of different people, and I accept that and I'm okay with that. It's just when it feels like it's like, hey, we're only doing this because we want to get the gay community's uh, you know audience. So we're gonna stick this in there and that in there, and see if we can capture that. But I don't know because I'm not a gay person or a gay man. But I wonder if anybody in the gay community even kind of looks at it going, like maybe have the view of it like they're overdoing it or it's just not natural the way they're doing it. I don't know. That's just my view on it. I mean, I'm not against it by any means. Um, and then me and my friend got into this conversation about how and and I brought this up, and I'll probably even bring it up on a totally different episode. But how movies are being remade and or movies and TV shows are being remade and or redone, and they're changing the characters' ethnic or their what what they are. If they're like white, black, Mexican, whatever. So, like one of the examples that I'll bring up is most recently they did a HBO did a series on a video game called The Last of Us, and in the video game, the primary characters are white. In the TV show, they changed one character to biracial, uh, black and I guess black and white parents of this particular actress, but it's not. And then the father, I'm not even sure what his nationality really is. I don't I don't necessarily care if they change it, and I don't say this from a point that I don't want um, characters because of a certain race. I just think I don't understand the reason for changing a character because then I think it's just being done they're I forget the word, but they're playing to a certain audience, and so they change the character. Another example I can give you is the new Disney live action uh, movie Little Mermaid, and they put in a black actress to play Ariel. Now, these two examples that I'm giving you are basically fictional characters. Really and truly, those characters could be any nationality or any race. I guess my only I guess my only issue is that if the character has been a certain nationality forever, then why change it? I mean, you could do a whole new story and create a whole nother character that could fit whatever nationality you want. And I'm not saying that to be racist. It would be no different than taking a fictional black character and then changing him to a different uh, nationality or race. And how much drama would that bring? Now, am I not going to go see or watch these shows or see these movies because of that? No. My thought process is I just want to understand why make that change. Why not develop new characters that that kids and people can look up to, and instead of changing older characters that have been a certain way forever. I don't know. That's just my thought on it. It's neither here nor there, and it doesn't even make it doesn't. It's not even a big deal, but they do it. But it's just a thought that I see sometimes things are being done just for the fact of being done. Like they're doing it just to do it. They're not. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just, hey, we want this audience, so let's change this popular character to their nationality or their race, and that way we can play to that audience. And I do always think like this because I do know that you're not always going to um, satisfy everybody. So, with that being said, though, it is what it is. I might have went totally off what I was wanting to talk about, but basically, bottom line is this: everybody wants to be seen, everybody wants to be included, but most of all, everybody just wants to be respected and acknowledged of who they are, not what they are, but who they are. I can look past what you are. I want to see who you are. With that being said, as always, thank you for coming out or coming out. Thank you for listening to the podcast. If you want to support us, make sure you check us out on the Let'sRollPodcast.com. And I'm sorry. Here it is. I'm sorry for not being consistent in these episodes, but I promise they're going to get better. They're going to get, and I'm going to have more out. I just got to get back into my groove. But with everything going on in my life, and I'll touch on it in different episodes and stuff, it's kind of been hard to get back into the groove. But always, until next time, let's roll.
Hey, this is Paula, and you're listening to the Let's Roll podcast with host Double R. Make sure you're following us on all of our social media. Find links in the description below or at theletsrollpodcast.com.